Well, hello and welcome to this week's episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green. Thank you so much for your time and for tuning into our show today. We hope along the way today you get a bit more information on Avoya Travel, our unique shared success business model, our best-in-class resources, our elite technology, really all the reasons why Avoya Travel has been voted the #1 host agency for 7 years now. We're just a bit different in the best of ways. And each week we strive to show you a bit of that difference and how it makes a difference for you, the travel professional, in our weekly On Deck with Avoya show. We've got a great show lined up for you today. In fact, today we're kicking off really one of our strongest months to date as far as amazing and unique guests for our program. Daniel Dobrott, Senior Manager of Brand Sales for Avoya Travel, will be joining us for a Q&A segment. Danny is a returning guest, and we're excited to share his Avoya Insider view on topics such as becoming a brand expert and why that's so important, how to drive the sales process forward so that you end up with a sale, and how to resonate with your clients so they always know that you're the expert and the one that's going to book their travel, and so much more. Danny will be joining us here in just a few minutes for that great conversation. We like to say the numbers don't lie here at Avoya Travel. It's one of the reasons that business intelligence is a cornerstone resource for the Avoya network. And we're going to be featuring a couple of stories that really focus on the numbers, including a new survey on consumer confidence in cruising, plus a story about us, Avoya Travel, and amazing numbers released for land bookings as part of our recent land forum. And speaking of land bookings, we have one new resort open and one new resort open for booking. And we'll talk about that here in just a few as we have our eye on the industry feature. And like we do every week, we'll wrap up our show highlighting some of the top resources for both a new to the industry travel professional, as well as our amazing program for those already established, but just looking to take things to a whole new level. And we'll make sure you have all the ways to reach out and get connected, get that conversation started, because we can't wait to share all the details of our amazing program with you and see if together we can't start a new shared success relationship with your agency as well. Okay, let's get it started. Kick off today's On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, some industry insights, and our eye on the industry feature. Well, great news for the cruise sector, as consumer confidence is way up when you compare it to, say, the last couple of years going through the pandemic. This according to a new survey released by the Global Rescue Traveler Sentiment and Safety Survey. Now, that's a mouthful. It found that in 2022, 19% of those responding are much more confident in the cruise industry than in 2021. That goes along with results that show 70% of survey participants have zero hesitancy when it comes to booking and taking a cruise in this current environment. Global Rescue CEO Dan Richards said the positive sentiment towards the cruise industry was driven by the combination of the majority of foreign borders opening to international travelers, revenge travel, elevated comfort travel levels for travelers who are taking those trips. Now, the one downside in the survey showed that 35% still said that testing positive for COVID-19, having symptoms, and being stranded away from their home are their biggest fears about international travel, with 15% saying that they have traveler anxiety about possibly testing positive for COVID and not being allowed back into the country. The survey seems to reflect much of what we've heard from our affiliates and really matches the internal data we've been seeing as far as cruiser confidence levels here at Avoya Travel as well. After a delay caused by current supply chain issues, the newest Sandals is open for business. Sandals Royal Curacao has opened its doors, an amazing resort comprised of 351 rooms and suites, 8 restaurants, 3 food trucks, and 13 bars. Now, the resort itself is tucked away inside a 3,000-acre protected reserve known as the Santa Barbara Estate. Sandals Royal Curacao will feature several new dining options that are unique for the brand. They include an open-air Mediterranean restaurant, a European fusion restaurant, and a food truck which will be serving traditional Curacao food on their menu. As one resort opens, another resort is open for bookings. The highly anticipated adults-only Hyatt Zilara Riviera Maya in the Mexican Caribbean is now open for bookings. Now, the all-inclusive Hyatt Zilara Riviera Maya is located on a secluded region of Mexico's Riviera Maya, but still easily accessible from the Cancun International Airport and nearby Playa del Carmen. Now, this amazing property features a whopping 291 suites, ideal for romance, relaxation, and adventure. And while bookings are now live, the resort itself is not slated to open until December of this year. This should be a big hit with both consumers and travel professionals, and should only add another great option to boost bookings and boost commissions. And finally, speaking of great land resorts, the numbers are out from us here at Avoya Travel. And wow, what amazing news to report. Avoya Travel, one of the travel industry's most innovative brands, recently concluded the 2022 Avoya Travel Land Forum and are reporting that commissions on year-to-date resort sales are up 80%. Yeah, let me say that number again, up 80% compared to 2019. More than half of that, 57% of land booking sales to date, are new to Avoya customers. So new to the brand. Again, great news for those in the Avoya network. And Avoya Travel Senior Vice President Ashley Hunter is quoted as saying, the land side of Avoya's business has been a huge contributing factor to Avoya's continued success throughout the pandemic, and we're invested in continuing to expand our reach and build more business in the sector of leisure travel. During the event, Avoya said it also announced an increase in the number of preferred land suppliers in its network, as well as other optional resources for selling land vacations. Again, more bookings, more commissions. So cruising confidence is up, land sales going through the roof. I mean, what are you waiting for? Aren't you ready to start that conversation today and become part of the #1 travel network in leisure travel, the Avoya Network? Find out what best-in-class resources could do for you and your agency. Well, speaking of best-in-class resources, that's our goal for our show here at On Deck with Avoya, to feature those amazing resources that help our network of travel advisors sell more, generate more commissions, and enjoy the benefits of being part of the #1 network in the industry. Today, we turn our spotlight to brand sales once again, because our brand sales teams are worthy of that praise and recognition. They really just make such a huge difference in our network. Those agencies that they help, that opt to participate in our brand sales program, they just flat out sell more. They generate more commissions, and they do so with less customer service issues with their clients. And the best part, it's free and optional, all part of the affiliation package when you affiliate with Avoya Travel and join the Avoya Network. It truly is a difference maker, and we're excited to share details on that resource again today as our Senior Manager of Brand Sales, Daniel Dobrott, joins us for a great Q&A. So let's welcome back Daniel Dobrott, Senior Manager of Brand Sales for Avoya Travel, is this week's Avoya Insider. Danny, great to have you back on the program.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. So before we jump into our main topic, Danny, can you give us a quick recap of your history in the travel industry and how you came to work with Avoya Travel for those that may have missed your last appearance?
Sure. So I've been in the travel business pretty much since 2006. I created my first travel company. It was more of an online company that was focused more on the hotel side of business. Did really well with that. It was a really built up website. It was called TripKick back in the day, and actually was listed on one of Time's best websites for 2008, 2009. Sold that business in 2010, and then went to work for various online travel startups in the Tech Valley, helping them run operations and figuring out what it meant to be online travel, as online travel was still sort of nascent and a lot of technologies were starting to come online to better find ways to help service the industry from an online perspective, and offering value. So that's where I really started going. Had a great time with that, loved doing it, but I really got away from being on the side of travel that I love, which is the product side. The product I was selling was the technology and the service, not the actual product of travel.
Sure.
So I really wanted to find a way to come back to that. Started a new agency myself in, I forget even now, but it was like 2014, 15, and affiliated myself actually with Avoya because I loved the brand that Avoya was, being its marketplace, the prestige it had within the other brands. Started an agency, did really, really well with that, loved selling, and then was actually tapped by Tammy Ritchie, who's our Senior Vice President of Network Engagement, to see if I wanted to come over and be on the other side, still being engaged with the products, but helping other agencies develop their sales strategies, develop their passion for selling, travel, and working with clients.
And you certainly worked with one of the best affiliation specialists that we had at that time, I can say. And I say that jokingly since I was the one that helped you.
That's right. That's right. You were the one to bring me on. And I'll say, I did my research, extensively in terms of host networks, because there are a lot out there. But for me, it was just knowing the brand that Avoya was and the Avoya Live Lead System. I mean, to me, once I knew what that was and understood it, it was a no-brainer to affiliate with Avoya, and I've never regretted it since.
Absolutely. We like to say the more research someone does, the better Avoya Travel looks. So we encourage all the research in the world. So Danny, we featured brand sales and your amazing department before, but as a refresher, can you give us a little overview of what brand sales and what the goal of that amazing resource we offer for the Avoya network is?
Sure. So brand sales is a new department, fairly new for Avoya, that we came up with last fall, realizing a need in the network for people just that are new to travel, new to selling travel, and they just don't have that institutional knowledge that someone who has sold Royal Caribbean for 20 years has, or someone who's booked AMA Waterways river cruises has. They might have a sales background, right? They understand sales, but they just don't have that institutional knowledge of industry lingo or just even what's specific to that brand. So we, a few of us that were part of Mastermind, decided to create this new section called Brand Sales. So Mastermind is still here. It's there to help new independent agency owners grow their business, starting out understanding what even a sales cycle is with the leads and developing strategies for running a successful at-home business. Brand sales, though, is kind of, let's say, in college you do your general ed, that's Mastermind. Brand sales is now you have a major. Okay, you're majoring in selling river cruises, or you're majoring in selling open water cruises, or you're majoring in selling land tours. Brand sales is really, okay, let's get you specific information that you're going to want to need to know to be that expert. Because we know here with the Avoya Live Leads, and really in general with any sort of sales, the more you can specialize, right? The more you can really know your brands, know what you're selling, the easier it is to talk to clients about it, the less stress you're going to have in your voice, the more confidence you're going to have. Also, the less time you're wasting with having to learn things or find out information you didn't know off the top of your head. So like in any sales, right? The way I looked at it and I told people is, when you go to a car dealership, do they sell every single car? No. They sell one or two brands. And that's kind of the idea that we have with brand sales is really if you specialize in a handful of brands and really truly know them, and brands that you have a passion for, brands that you would like to travel on or have an affinity for, it's really going to help you build that business because you're focused. You're engaging with the clients with relevant information that they're going to want to need to know. And instead of waiting for them to ask questions, you're going to have such a passion for that brand that you're going to be infectious when you talk about it.
Absolutely. Let's explore that a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, Danny. What's the bottom line, right? So I'm a member of the network and I'm thinking about becoming involved in taking advantage of this optional resource, brand sales. How is that going to help me, a member of the Avoya network, sell more and make more in commissions at the end of the day?
Sure. So one thing, our services are 100% free to the network. It's open to everyone in the network, whether you're fairly new and just affiliated with the network, or you're someone who's seasoned and been with the network for 10, 15 years, and you're looking to do something else. So the benefit is that you come to us and we're going to give you the keys to the kingdom, basically, in terms of knowing what you need to know that's for that brand. The client, and also kind of talking about the client and how to approach that client when it comes to the Avoid Live Leads, because a client that comes in on a Royal Caribbean, Carnival, NCL lead, they're a different client than someone that's coming in on, let's say, a Colette tour or an Amo River cruise, or even our high-end luxury like Regent and Silversea and Seabourn. They're different clients, different things you need to know for that. Also, too, just like within the mass market, we'll kind of stick there, is Carnival, Royal Caribbean, NCL have very different ways they position themselves in the market and what they offer. They go after this similar kind of mass market resort client, I call it resort cruising, but there's different ways that they position it, different ways that you need to key in on in terms of using the way they're positioning it to better sell that to a client, so the client can understand what they're really getting for their money and what that experience is going to be for it. So it's just knowing that, and we kind of help people. People always ask me, Danny, what should I, what brand should I specialize in? And it's really not up to me, and I can't tell you. It's what brand do you see that you have a natural affinity for, that you are naturally seeing, you're naturally seeking out more information. So the idea is you can sell anything under the sun when you're a travel professional, and that's great. But what do you really want to specialize in? Because of the $1 million agencies that we have many of, we have found that about roughly 60 to 80% of their sales comes from 3 brands because they know it, they can speak to it. They are also aren't wasting time, right? So if you're someone that's new and you're thinking, oh gosh, I need to know everything under the sun, you can make it simpler for yourself. What if you just know everything about 3 to 5 brands, and we can help you on that path and that journey to educate yourself? We're not going to give you a booklet, here's everything you need to know, but we're at least going to help you know, okay, here's where you start with knowing the basics of this brand. Okay, you've got the basics down, you've got some sales, you've got some going. Here's the next part to think about. Here's how you can leverage this promotion with this promotion to really make it sing in your quotes so you're closing more business. After that, okay, now you want to start going into groups. Here's how groups work with this brand. And here's what you can do to better sell that brand. Here's all the resources that brand actually offers to sell that product. Here's how, when they're changing their promotions, you know, as a specialist, because you know it so well, it's really not changing that much. The marketing side is changing, but in terms of how you position it to a client or how you package that deal, it's pretty much the same. And as that brand professional, you get to a point then where you can start quoting on the phone, which I know scares people, but when you know your stuff, and it takes a while. I always tell new agents, this isn't, you know, travel is a great product. It's a passion that I've had since a young child when I went to Europe at 10 years old. But this isn't a get rich quick way of business. It's like any business, you have to grow. You know, any business and sales that you're running yourself, whether it be, you know, selling insurance, selling real estate, it's a growth. The Avoya Live Leads there to help you grow, but there's still that growth period where you really kind of have to just understand, what does it mean to be a business owner? And then, okay, what does it mean to specialize in this business, and how am I going to run my business, whether it be trying to book new business, keeping my current business happy, and keeping that repeat business going. And that's what we're here with brand sales is, okay, for this brand, here are the extra things you need to think about. For me, I love celebrity. That was my biggest brand that I sold. So that's part of it. We realized, okay, well, everyone who sells celebrity, whether it be personal clients or taking Avoya Live Leads, should really have this institutional knowledge of celebrity. So that's my job. My job is to help anyone that's either new or maybe has never sold celebrity before, but they're a seasoned agent. No, okay, great. You sold NCL. You now want to sell celebrity. Here's the things you need to know that are different about celebrity. Here's the product profile. Here's what the customer is going to be asking you about. Here's how you can really beat the competition, because when you're a specialist, you know what your competition is doing as well. So that's what we're here to educate. And again, it's free. And whether it's, hey, Danny, I don't sell a lot of celebrity, and we get this a lot, but I've got a client that wants to quote celebrity. Can you help me? That's what I'm here for. Yep, let's pull it up. Let's go through it. Let's go through a quote. Let's go through the promotions. And I know you don't understand it. I do. You're not looking to sell celebrity except for this one individual, but that's where you come to me. Hey, I can help you really fast put together this quote. If the client has questions, here's what they're talking about with that promotion. So you're not wasting time, frustrated, on hold, trying to do all the research your own. We're here to help you close more business with that brand.
This really goes to the heart. I remember when I had Vice President Tammy Ritchie on as a guest a couple of times, and we've talked about how the best in any industry have utilized coaches, right? I mean, if you're Tom Brady and you're the best football player on the planet, you still have a quarterbacks coach. I always like to say, if you're Adele, considered the greatest singer in the world, you still have a vocal coach. And if you're trying to be the best in this industry, you have somebody like Danny who can provide that level of sales coaching and that business coaching that can really help resonate and take everything to the next level, right, Danny?
Right, because it's my job to stay on top of the changing promotions, the changing worlds that we've had with COVID. And so it's my job to really stay on top of that when they're changing their direction with what kind of brand they're going to be. Like we've seen some brands do over COVID. Over COVID, celebrity became all-inclusive, which is something they had never done before. We're seeing new brands pop up like Virgin Voyages. And so it's my job to know, okay, what are they doing? How does this fit in the marketplace? What are they really doing? I'm that expert to help you realize, okay, this is what I need to know. Because I knew when I started selling, for example, when I started selling Oceana and Regent when I went to luxury, there were things I didn't know I needed to know. And so I didn't even know to ask that question. So that's what we're here to do is, okay, if you're going to this brand, here are the questions you need to ask yourself so you can educate yourself. so that you can sound like that expert? Do you know the difference in the categories? For example, when these certain perks start to come into play, you really have to know that on the luxury brand, not as much on the resort brands, the big resort brands, because there's not as much stratification. So that's what we're here to do, is to help coach you. So you know, okay, this is what you're looking for, but these are the things, these are the building blocks to get you to that level of success that you need, that you really need to be thinking about, that you might have blinders on to.
I love that quote. I didn't even know that I needed to know. I
Right.
mean, that's really amazing if you think about it, because it's so true. I mean, it's such a simple statement, but it really is. Like, I just had that own light bulb moment for myself thinking about that. There's certain questions when you're trying to move into a different space that you don't have the experience to be able to formulate the questions to be able to get yourself even to like home plate, let alone
Right.
get to first base, second base, right? You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
And that's what brand sales is here to do. We're here to help you start to think about those things you didn't know you need to know.
Awesome. Daniel Dobrott, Senior Manager of Brand Sales at Avoya Travel, is our featured Avoya Insider guest this week for On Deck with Avoya. Danny, having worked with so many travel advisors in our network, what are some of the traits that you see in people that continually perk up, that make them successful in selling leisure travel?
So number one is people that come in and decide to focus on a set of brands, right? There's a lot of things that they don't know that they need to know, and you're trying to start a business which has its own challenges, regardless of any industry you're going into. And they're going to focus. They're going to try to get good at one thing today. And that's why I say really Mastermind is there to kind of give you that basics, that foundation of what it means to be a business owner, what it means to set yourself up for success. And then brand sales is there, okay, you've got those foundation blocks in place. Now let's really focus and hone in on where you're really going to fly in terms of success and sales with your business. What is that brand that you're going to be synonymous with, that's really going to make sales just kind of be an easy thing for you? That's something that you love and you're always paying attention to do. So it's being engaged also too, asking the right questions. Whether you're someone that's coming in to do this full time like I did, or you're someone that's coming in to do it part-time, maybe 15, 20, 25 hours a week is all you really have, because you either have other commitments, other jobs, family commitments, and or you're in retirement and you've done your career and you're just looking to do something that keeps you busy, keeps you engaged. It's okay, that's fine, whatever you want to do, but make sure you're structured in that time. What is the time that I'm going to do? What is the time I'm going to spend? And then keep yourself honest with it, right? Because this isn't a business where you can one week work 25 hours and the next week work 2, the next week work 7, the next week work 20, the next week work 6. This isn't a business that's really set up for that, the way the sales cycle works with travel. If you have a lot of personal business, you might be able to do that. But if you're looking to come in here, and I know a lot of people are, to be successful with Avoya Live Leads, first off, let me tell you, you can totally be successful with Avoya Live Leads. My business was 95% Avoya Live Leads, and I was making a good living doing it. But again, you have to be engaged with what you're doing. You have to think methodically about, okay, what do I need to get good at this week or this month? Don't try to solve all the problems at once, but just as you learn about questions, as you experience your building of a business, okay, this didn't work for me. What can I do to fix that? And that's the resources we're here. When you identify those problems, we're here to talk you through those problems. Okay, here are some suggested practices that can do that. So number one is being dedicated to it, realizing you're starting a small business and that doesn't happen overnight. Any good business will strive, struggle, and fall in their first 18 months. But it's being engaged with knowing, okay, when I struggle and fall, how can I fix that? Also, too, using resources, asking the good questions. We are here to help you. There's early success, there's mastermind, there's brand sales. We are here because we want you to be successful. We want you to claim those leads and build a business at the level you're at. You can use my services if you're happy with being a $50,000 a year in sales agency. I'll help you just like I would someone that's doing $3 to $4 million in a year. We don't divvy up our resources based off that performance. It's whatever you want to be. But it's, again, being engaged, really paying attention to your business. Everyone spends so much money to build any business, whether it be just setting up all the forms and the government process of that it's okay. Have respect for your business. You're a small business owner now. Treat your business with the same respect you would if you took a part-time job working at the local grocery store. The hours you set for yourself, really dedicate yourself to that. Doesn't mean you need to work 80 hours a week. Just whatever you're going to do, be dedicated to it and be efficient with it, and also standard with it, right? Every week you're sort of doing the same thing. And that's the true building blocks of success. And then really being engaged and spending time on that professional development.
I want to kind of break this down a little bit further, if you don't mind, because this is kind of a typical request that my team would get at Avoya Travel from somebody new to the industry. They're new, they want to open a small agency, they have 25 hours a week to devote to their new business. And so first off, is it possible to be successful and start to the building blocks of success, devoting 25 hours a week? I'll just start with that question alone, Dan.
Definitely. Yeah, you can, if whatever your other commitments are, or other jobs. I mean, we have successful agencies here who work full-time jobs and have careers, and they're still being successful here, whether they're 200, 500. We even have a couple, they work full-time jobs in the $1 million agencies. So it's really possible. Yes, it's definitely possible. If you only have 20, 25 hours a week to dedicate, can you be successful here at Avoya? Yes. But again, I would ask you, is this going to be a passion for you where, okay, within those 20, 25 hours, you're not afraid to go to your desk. You really are going to be dedicated to those 20, 24 hours. This isn't something that becomes something in the back like, oh, right, I've got to get on the phone and call that client. It's, oh, great, I'm done with what I'm doing now. I get to go home and call that client, figure out that quote, and get it to them. So it's really got to be, if you're only going to do this part-time, it still has to be a passion. It still has to be something where you are not just looking for the sales to come in. This has to be a business where you have a passion for it and a true understanding of it. And that's what brand sales is here to help you with. I can't help you with the passion bit. That's the part you have to have. You have to really have a passion for figuring out travel problems and creating solutions for them. Client wants to do an all-inclusive in Mexico, but there's 6 rooms and you've got families coming from Denver, Chicago, Miami. How can I figure this out? How can I present them a resort that they're going to like? You've got clients that want to take a European cruise out of Rome, but they want to go to Paris first. How can you solve that, create a solution for them? And it's thinking outside the box, right? It's using Google when you don't know things, right? Okay, doing research, picking up the phone, calling the brand, asking questions. This isn't a business where you can just kind of hang back and all of a sudden be successful. Like I tell new agencies, this isn't Uber. A lead is not someone that you click the button and then there's a client who's ready to book. That right. Is not a lead. A lead is someone who is interested in speaking about travel. If you have a passion, interest in speaking about travel, they're going to want to talk to you. If you're just someone who thinks, okay, well, they're going to know what cruise they want and I'm just going to book it for them, that's being an order taker. That's not being a small business owner. And I really do think this is a good time to be thinking about going into the business of travel. We've had a lot of shakeout in our industry. A lot of the seasoned agencies who had big books of business, not just at Avoya, but other agencies and other of our competitors who didn't even have an agency model. They had other business models. They kind of pulled out. And I was just looking at the stats. This month, June, sorry, it's already June, all 3 brands, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, NCL, they're going to have their entire fleet back in the water. 365 ships back back sailing this month. Wow. This time last year, there were 74. So the industry is coming back and it's growing, and there's a need now, I think, for travel. I think a lot of people don't want to just do the point clicks that they could do at Expedia. They really do want someone that can help them craft that great experience and has a passion for it. So if you have a passion for it and you're only going to do this 25 hours a day, yeah, you can be successful. But then I would really, really, really encourage, choose 3 brands that you're going to take leads in, that you're going to represent, that You're going to truly know everything about. Because then whether you're speaking to an Avoya Live lead, you're speaking to a friend at a cocktail party, you're speaking to some stranger at a coffee bar, you can talk about those 3 brands. And they're going to hear your passion. They're going to hear your level of interest in it. They're going to hear your level of expertise in it. And that's going to keep that conversation going to hopefully become a client.
Absolutely. Danny, for me personally, travel is currently and has always been just an essential part of my life. And I just don't ever see that changing. And when I talk to a lot of my friends, they share that same sentiment about exploring new places, seeing new things. Do you think the fact that travel is just so ingrained into the wants and needs of people is proof that while it may constantly change, our industry is always going to be vital to society?
Definitely. I mean, you saw people, one of the biggest things that they saw during the lockdown was, I'm really missing travel. Whether it be just traveling on their own to a cruise or exotic destination, or just seeing friends and family. So travel is always, I think, going to be vital. And I think as travel has expanded over the last 5 years, the need for travel agents are never been more. I mean, people always say, oh, do I still need an agent? Listen, if you're just going to Las Vegas, what I tell friends and family, listen, if you're just going to Las Vegas for a weekend, I, of course, can help you with that. But yeah, maybe you don't. But then when things happen, remember, you're off by yourself. You have no one to go for you. The main thing I think where we're going to start seeing the need for travel advisors is people are looking to do things that are more experiential. Bike tours, around south of Spain. A lot of cruise ships now doing exotic things with Antarctica or different parts of Asia that they've never done before. These are places that, okay, how do you fly to that part of Ecuador? These are situations where a true expert can easily walk you through that. And the one thing too that I always told my friends and family, you're not going to pay for my services. In fact, you're always going to get a better deal than going direct. But then when you need something, you have my cell phone. You have you can instant message me when you have a question, and I'll get back to you. So I think the whole idea of the service, right? I think we kind of went away to the big OTAs, but then everyone's realized there's no service. If you try to call one of the big OTAs because your flight got canceled, Delta is not going to talk to you if you book that through one of the OTAs. You got to talk to the OTA. Guess what? That OTA's call center is not a travel professional that can think about creating a solution in a three-dimensional way like I can. And that's where I say, being that expert right now, especially specializing, whether it be in a region, whether it be with a brand, really is a way to build your business, because people are going to gravitate towards that expert. If you come here and you try to want to be the jack of all trades, sell everything under the sun, you're really going to struggle, because there's an opportunity cost, right? You're never going to go further along in any direction to be that expert, right? I mean, going back to your kind of sports and coaches, how many players, when they're big in basketball, do they also play baseball and football and golf? No, they're expert in that sport. And they might enjoy the other sports. They might like them, but they're an expert in one, and that's what they train on. And that's the same thing, I think, with selling travel. You really have to be the expert in a few things to really grow your business and hone those skills.
Perfectly said, Danny. Listen, we've got time for one last question. And again, I know you're very confident about the future of our industry and leisure travel, but do you have any last little bit of advice for the travel advisor community on how to make 2022 just a great year for their agency?
So let's say you come up with what would success look like for you, right? What is it $75,000 in sales your first year? Is it 100? Is it 500,000? What does success look like for you? And then break it down. It's one thing to have an annual target for your business, and a business should have a target, right? This is a business you have a passion about, like any business, whether you're selling cars, whether you're building computers, whether you're a software engineer, you hopefully have a passion for it. But what is your end game? Why are you here? And hopefully there's a monetary aspect to it and an experience to it. And then whatever that goal is that you set for yourself, you set it for. Avoya is never going to be like, hey, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, you need to be producing more. That's not our business model. We love people where they're at, but we're here to help you get to where you want to be. And I would say the secret for success with Avoya is figure out what success looks like for you, and then meet with your coach, either in mastermind or early success, with, okay, this is what I want my business to look like. And then, okay, what does that look like on a monthly basis? What does it look like on a weekly basis? Because then you might have a lofty goal of $100,000 in sales your first year, which, hey, that's great. Your first year, 100,000, that's great. But what does that look like? What do you need to be doing on a weekly basis to get there? How many calls do you need to be making with Avoya Live leads or personal clients? What does that look like to get you to that? And we have tons of metrics, as Chris mentioned before, where a lot of business intelligence that we can look at to help you make those choices for what success looks like for you. And then what do you need to be doing on a monthly and weekly basis to ensure you get there? Because then when you're experiencing that success and you're getting those sales, then this business is fun and you don't dread going to the desk. You're looking to go to the desk even more because you solve that problem. You create a solution for the client, you generate a sale, and you're moving on to the next.
Amazing stuff, Danny. Daniel Dobrott, everyone, Senior Manager of Brand Sales for Avoya Travel. Danny, again, thanks so much for your time and that great conversation. And if I was a potential member of the network, I would be putting in that request right now just so I had a chance to talk to somebody like you, because your passion is contagious and it's infectious. And again, we're just thrilled that you were on our show today.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. Always happy to help.
Absolutely. Next week, we really want you to mark your calendars for this one, because we're going to follow up Danny's amazing performance with an On Deck with Avoya with one of our most high-profile industry guests yet, Jim Tedesco, Vice President of Sales for the Apple Leisure Group Vacations. This is one of, again, like I said, one of our most high-profile industry guests to date, and we can't wait to hear what Jim has to say on issues like resort sales and partnerships and the future of our industry. That's next Thursday, On Deck with Avoya, our normal time, 2:15 p.m. Eastern, 11:15 a.m. Pacific. Okay, let's talk for a second about some resources, because as Danny was talking about, our resources meet you no matter where you are on this journey. If you're new to the industry, things like our Foundations for Early Success program, leading into our mastermind program, our brand sales department, all of those things can really help turn you into the expert so that you can create the business of your dreams. If you're already an established travel professional and you want to go to the next level, Avoya Travel certainly has an amazing history. Nobody else has helped more agencies take that big step forward and really progress into the agency that they've dreamed about, right? I mean, as Danny said, you define what your success is, but we've got programs that can help you get there. So reach out and start that conversation and find out what the best-in-class resources can do for you. So how do you reach us? Pretty simple stuff. As always, my email, chris.green@avoyatravel.com. You can pick up the phone, give me a call. Of course, I always recommend you go to avoyanetwork.com. There's a wealth of information there. All of our FAQs are there. And of course, you can put in a request. We'll get you connected with a network expansion specialist for that full conversation to discuss Avoya Travel and next steps in becoming an affiliate. Again, thank you so much for your time. Again, thanks to Danny for that wonderful conversation. Looking forward to Jim next week from Apple Leisure Group Vacations. Thank you again. Until then, take care, everyone.